So we were going through some dictionary definitions here, but we did get sidetracked a little bit, but hey, it's the nature of our conversations, if you know us at all. So back to language again. One side, he hears ceasefire, truce, peace process. And the other side may be hearing Hudna, not just the word, but the whole concept behind it, you know, the mindset, the word that is just the concretization of something deeper, a way of seeing conflict rooted in a very different world to the West. So even if the word isn't said, the meaning is there, pulls within a longer war, a longer period of time, until the result that we are looking for is achieved, which is a holy task, a holy outcome.
The Babel problem, again, we think we're agreeing on something, but actually we're operating with entirely different definitions in our heads. Let's just go to our final word here for the sake of time. Casualty. When a bomb drops and people die. To the West, a casualty is a tragic victim. A casualty is someone who's lost their life. It was cut short senselessly, and it's a failure of diplomacy. But to the radical elements of the resistance axis, you know, you hear it all the time, a fighter or a civilian killed in whatever stage of war it is, however it happens, they call them a martyr. And we were even hearing it yesterday with the 2 journalists in Lebanon that were killed. They called them martyrs. And it really highlighted to me the linguistic disconnect that we've got as we read the news, as we hear the news. That there wasn't any comment on the word martyr. Yeah, fine, carry on. But we know, even in our dictionaries, what a martyr is. It's a hero being fed into, regenerated into the resistance against those who are against God's will, is triumph over the physical world and fuel for the next generation of fighters. You know, these martyrs will be looked on as, you did that, we're going to do it 10 times. You know, we want to be like you. It's very disconnected. I can't even put it together in my brain as I'm looking at it.
To a certain extent we can understand it, but to a certain extent we can't, because our brains aren't wired that way. We can't understand that mindset. And there are reasons behind, by the way, the big Satan, the little Satan, the influence of the West. And I agree with them, actually. It's not good. Promiscuity, pride, lust, not good things. Trying to get into that mindset for a little bit kind of makes sense. But the more terrifying thing, and this is what we're getting into here, is that it's genuinely terrifying when you realize we are speaking completely past each other. So no wonder diplomacy keeps hitting a brick wall. And the end of the world may be because we are failing to be able to communicate with each other effectively. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe that's what we need to pray for. That's what maybe a Messiah looks like, to come down and speak into the better, higher human paradigm that we desperately long for in this day and age.
And this is where we come to the everyday Iranian. We've been using a cosmic war ideology to explain the actions of the regime, and we keep saying Iran, Iran, Iran. But there's a crucial distinction between how we're using Iran and to actually understand what specifically we're talking about when we say Iran. We are talking about the Iranian revolutionary regime. We're not talking about the everyday people. And this is, to be honest, one of the most tragic paradoxes of this entire region. You know, we can't lump the Ayatollahs in with the general population. There's a deep exhaustion among the public, the general public of Iran. And if you look at a 25-year-old university student or shopkeeper living in Tehran today, they're not waking up thinking about fighting a cosmic war. They're not obsessed with destroying Tel Aviv. They're waking up thinking about the fact that the price of basic groceries has tripled in a month. They're watching their currency completely collapse against the dollar. They're wiping out their family savings with this reality. I know an Iranian who wanted to just get his money out of Iran as he saw this happening and bought a house on an island in the Mediterranean. They want affordable food. They want a stable job. They want to access the global world. They even want to listen to Western music, which would, they want to watch Western YouTube channels to be part of the international community without having, that they have to use these illegal according to Iran, or maybe illegal full stop, I don't know. The sketchiness of the world of VPNs. But they are using VPNs just to bypass these censors that the regime has implemented. The regime builds its entire internal and external legitimacy on this grand narrative of resistance to the West and Israel. And they're pouring billions of dollars into funding Hezbollah and Hamas and building these ballistic missiles. But the everyday citizens, they experience that resistance as suffocation, isolation. They experience it as poverty, corruption, rampant corruption, and brutal restrictions, social restrictions, morality police beating women for not wearing their hijab properly. The public in Iran is deeply fatigued, and there's been decades of international sanctions. They've been hit economically for a nuclear brinkmanship strategy, basically pushing things to the edge of nuclear conflict, playing chicken but with nuclear war. But they didn't vote for that. So the internal paradox is staggering. The government frames international confrontation as national dignity and religious duty. And the citizens experience it as living in an economic and social prison.
So when March 2026, the preemptive strike happened, resulting in the sudden death of their leader and the destruction of the nuclear sites that we've been hearing about, the reaction inside Iran, there's so many conflicting emotions there. Publicly on state television, of course, you're going to see the state-sponsored rallies, maybe by a crowd events, There's going to be some anger and there's national pride portrayed there. Maybe there is some national pride. I've spoken to Iranians I know here, and they're not happy with a foreign power striking their sovereign soil. And yes, a natural human instinct is defensive, is patriotism. But privately, behind closed doors, there might be a silent relief among vast swathes of Iranians.
Yeah, and many saw that supreme leader as the primary immovable obstacle to their freedom, yeah? Like, it's 45 years, this ruinous ideological war that has seemed so endless to them.